Hi, in today's tip I want to show you a few pointers on email safety. Over the past few months I've heard of several people I know falling prey to phishing scams, causing one or two of them some serious pain. Firstly, let me just explain what the term phishing means in relation to email. Basically, it's a tactic employed by bad guys to extract information from you that they can use to their benefit. Typically this will be for financial gain, which means they're either going to try and steal money from your account or gather enough information about you to use it to obtain credit in your name, more widely known as identity fraud. Whatever route the bad guys choose, the likelihood is that if you get tricked into responding to them, it's going to hurt. The other type of mail we're concerned with are those infected with malware, which is short for malicious software. In other words, software that isn't good for you or your computer. This can take the form of a virus, spyware, keyloggers and a few other things. Generally, a good virus checking utility will take care of these for you, but if you're a Mac user, you're lucky. Right now there's very little out there that's likely to hurt, but I'll cover this in more detail in another tip. So these are my tips for email safety. Number 1. Get some good virus protection, and even more importantly, make sure it's up to date. A good email service will block malware from your computer, and some will also block phishing mails. Check what your mail provider offers and see if you can get dangerous emails blocked before they reach you. If in doubt, call us on 01923 555 048 and we can go through our own offerings with you. Number 2. Don't fall prey to phishing emails by learning how to spot the attempts. I've gathered a couple of typical phishing emails so that I can walk you through the red flags you need to be aware of. If we imagine an email to be the modern form of a letter from someone, it's obviously possible for someone smart enough to fake a company letterhead and ask you to call them on a telephone number which doesn't belong to the company in question. But then that's answered by the person who's attempting to con you posing as an employee of that company. It's an entirely plausible scenario, I suppose, but it's made all the more realistic when all the communication is electronic. You get an email from what looks like Apple asking you to log into your account to update your details. You log in, the website says thank you very much, and you go on your way. None the wiser that the details you just typed in are now in the hands of a bad guy. How they'll use them is irrelevant, but they will use them. So what are the signs that an email is fake? Look at this email, supposedly from Microsoft. First thing I'd notice is that there's no branding in there, something most big companies are always going to make sure they have. I'm also usually very wary when the addressee is undisclosed. This is the electronic version of the householder or to whom it may concern. You wouldn't expect a letter addressed like that from, say, the electricity company regarding your account, would you? But the biggest single common denominator in virtually all of these phishing emails are the calls to action. This is the bit in the email where you have to click here or log in. In most email clients, if you hover your mouse over the link they're asking you to click on, it will bring up a little window showing the address of the website that clicking will take you to. In this case, it's mishkicafe.com/something or other. Now, if this was a genuine Microsoft email, I'd expect to be taken to a Microsoft.com site. There's one final thing I would check, and this can be slightly trickier depending on what email client you use. Basically, we need to look at the header information relating to the email to check that it's valid. This information is normally hidden from view in your email client, so we have to enable it somehow, and that's the difficult part. I found a link that shows how to see the headers in most email clients, and I posted this at the bottom of the blog post. Now there's two pieces of information I'm always interested in. That's the from address and the reply to address. You can see from the email source here that the from address in the header is not what you'd expect from this email. It's important to mention that this data can be faked by a knowledgeable bad guy, so if the email has signs of other red flags, take them into account. Occasionally the from address might look fine, but the reply to address, which is where any reply you make will be sent to, will be vastly different. That's usually a big red flag. Okay, let's look at another example. So this one had branding, but for those that know their brands, this one is out of date. Apple don't use these Chrome Effect logos anymore. There's also a couple more clues in the email, iTunes being mistyped, the T should be uppercase. I also noticed the typos at the bottom in the copyright statement as well as the address. Apple are based in Cupertino, California, not San Jose. The big issue though is the call to action. This link is taking me to altavista.org. Finally, if we look at the source, the address is apple.securityid@aim.org. Not an Apple address, obviously. Okay, I have a couple more to show you, and I'll flick through these fairly quickly to illustrate how consistent the red flag warnings are. I find that phishing scams tend to be cyclical. There used to be a lot of banking emails and PayPal, but the majority recently seem to have been Apple ones, probably because there are so many credit and debit cards associated with Apple IDs, and it gives the bad guys plenty of chances to get hold of your money. Here's another one. Once again, no branding, grammatical errors, broken links, and of course, that call to action. Next, a PayPal one. Now this one looks better, except for that call to action, of course. The next one, well, I'm staggered that people would fall for this. Firstly, if you ever get an email from a courier that asks you to open the attachment, don't. Get the consignment number from your sender, or it will be in the email, and go to the courier's website. Again, no recipient information. And when we look at the source, the from address has no relevance to the email at all. This last one is different. Okay, there's no branding, which should warn me, but there's no button to log in anywhere. On this occasion, they've attached an HTML page for you to fill in. Now I've looked at this page, and it's another exploit. The page looks exactly like the PayPal login screen, but when you hit the login button, it'll fire your information off to the bad guys. Bottom line, never go to a link that's not the company's own website. That's to say, your browser should say www.apple.com or something similar for an Apple email. I hope that most of the red flags are fairly obvious now that I've pointed them out to you. In my opinion, the biggest lesson is knowing about checking where the links go to. So I wanted to show you how to check this in iOS as well. Right, we're in the alleged Apple Mail on an iPad now. If I hold my finger on the call to action, it will bring up the attached link without going to it. Obviously from here you're going to have a good idea whether it's fake or not. You can also check the address that the email was sent from by clicking the From button at the top, although as I said earlier, this is relatively easy for a bad guy to fake. Anyway, I hope that's given you some food for thought. Remember to check the branding, the content, the sender address, but most importantly, where does the call to action try to take you? If in doubt, play safe. Call the company in question, ask for their advice, or call us and we'll give you our opinion. That's it for this tip. If you've got any questions I can answer for you, or ideas for future shows, please do drop me an email at info@chno.co.uk. And of course, I'd love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/CHNO Technology Ltd. Have a great week and thanks for listening.